Were you happy when you found out you weren't going to go to the gas chamber, Charles?
I knew I wasn't going to go to the gas chamber because I hadn't done anything wrong.
It's a tale as old as time, an overbearing, abusive, psychotic mother, and a young boy doomed for infamy. Here are 3 serial killers whose mothers make Norman Bates' mom seem like Mother Teresa. Charles Albright. Born in Amarillo, Texas, Charles Albright was adopted from an orphanage by Dell and Fred Albright. His adoptive mother, who was a schoolteacher, was very strict and overprotective of him. As soon as he received his first gun, he began shooting small animals like squirrels and rabbits, etc., and wanted to become a taxidermist and with Dell's help, learned to skin and stuff them. However, she refused to pay for the standard glass taxidermy eyes that made the animals look truly alive. Instead, she forced him to use buttons and marbles. Sometimes, she would make him sew the eyes shut so that the animals looked like they were blind. Albright later removed the eyes of his victims. While Albright was a 16-year-old freshman at North Texas State College, he became involved in a student burglary ring. He and several of his classmates broke into local stores and stole merchandise, some of which authorities found in his dorm room. When his mother caught wind of his arrest, she went around to the store owners and offered to reimburse them for what he'd stolen. At his sentencing, she tried to stand in as his lawyer and even told the judge she'd serve his prison nurse for him. He served 6 months of a 2-year term in jail. Dell told Albright 2 different stories about his birth mother. In the first, Dell claimed that the woman was a law student who married a classmate. In the other tale, Albright's birth mother was a prostitute. The defense attorney for Albright's murder case discovered that neither of these stories was true. His birth mother was actually a nurse. Dell also told her son all about his father's proclivities, which included grabbing at his wife every time he caught her standing around in nothing but a bra and undergarments. According to her, this made Fred greedy about sex, and she wanted her son to not grow up to be the same way. Dell passed away in 1981 at 79 years old in San Antonio, Texas. She is currently buried alongside her husband Fred in Dallas, Texas. Henry Lee Lucas. Viola Lucas has been described as a sadist and a shameless prostitute, who often entertained her lovers in front of her disabled husband and young children. The family was incredibly poor, and, like most families back then, it included 8 hungry children. Viola's husband was an alcoholic who'd lost both his legs in a railroad accident. By all accounts, she was somewhat contentious, which appears to be a nice way of putting it. Viola would often make young Henry cross-dress in public, purportedly so she could later pimp him out to men and women alike. In December 1949, Lucas' alcoholic father, Anderson Lucas, died of hypothermia after drinking to intoxication and collapsing outside during a blizzard. Shortly thereafter, while in the 6th grade, Lucas dropped out of school and ran away from home, drifting around Virginia. In December of 1959, Viola visited her son for Christmas. She disapproved of her son's fiancé and insisted he move back to Blacksburg to take care of her as she grew older. When he refused, they argued repeatedly. These arguments escalated until January 11, 1960, when, according to Lucas, she struck him over the head with a broom, at which point he stabbed her in the neck. The official police report stated that Lucas' mother died of a heart attack precipitated by the assault. Lucas was soon arrested in Ohio on the outstanding Michigan warrant. He claimed to have killed his mother in self-defense, but his claim was rejected and he was sentenced to up to 40 years imprisonment in Michigan for second-degree murder. After serving 10 years in prison, he was released in June 1970 due to prison overcrowding. Charles Manson, the infamous cult leader and orchestrator of heinous crimes, had a deeply troubled relationship with his mother, Kathleen Maddox. Born on November 12, 1934, in Cincinnati, Ohio, Charles Manson's early years were marked by instability and neglect. His mother, Kathleen Maddox, was a young woman plagued by a turbulent lifestyle, frequently entangled in criminal activities and struggles with alcoholism. Ada Kathleen Maddox was born on January 11, 1918, in Kentucky. She was known to family and friends by her middle name, Kathleen, and was the youngest of 5. Her father was a railroad conductor and she led a comfortable, average, working-class lifestyle in a highly religious household. At just 16 years old, Kathleen gave birth to Charles, but she failed to provide a stable and nurturing environment for her son. Manson was often left in the care of relatives or in juvenile facilities. "I guess I had a tendency to be a little wild, the way kids will," she admitted in a 1971 interview after it was alleged she sold her son for a pitcher of beer. She was taken into custody for hitchhiking at 16 and left Manson at home with her parents to go down to West Virginia when he was 4. 2 years later, Maddox and her brother Luther were arrested for the clumsy robbery of a gas station using a broken ketchup bottle. While Charles Manson's mom was in jail, he was sent to live with his aunt and uncle, and when Maddox was released from prison after 3 years later, she and Manson lived across a variety of hotel rooms for several years. Unable to control his bad behavior, Maddox sent Charles to a Catholic school for delinquents when he was 12 years old. In a 1971 interview, Maddox said that she was 5 years into her third marriage, she had a 9-year-old daughter and lived a quiet life with few friends. There is no excuse for Manson's atrocities, however one can see how things went so horribly wrong.